Hello, welcome back. Please excuse my voice. For some reason I've lost my voice. It's like Thursday today, I lost it on Monday and this is the first day I've actually had a voice. Yeah, I seem to have lost my voice, but I really want to film this video and I really want to get this video out, so please ignore the fact I've got no voice. Hopefully it's not too annoying. But today I'm going to do 25 books I really want to read in 2025. I'm feeling so good about this year ahead with reading. In 2024, I read 40 books. That's good considering I only actually really got into reading in like July. So my 2025 goal for reading is 80 books, so doubling it, which I feel really good about. I have already read one. I read a novella and I managed to read that all yesterday. It is actually the 2nd of Jan today when I'm filming this, so I'm feeling good. But yeah, I basically went through my Goodreads TBR and picked out the 25 books I really want to read. Obviously I'm here with my bookcase as well and I will pick from that as well. So yeah, again, this is not in order, but I am just going to say the first book because the first book I am absolutely dying to read, and that is, I think it's Onyx Storm. It's the 3rd book in the Fourth Wing series. If you don't know, if you're new to my channel or haven't seen me read Fourth Wing is one of my favourite books I've ever read in my life, and I read Fourth Wing, Iron Flame, and obviously I'm dying to read Onyx Storm. It comes out on January 21st. I will be reading it for a video. I've pre-ordered it. I just cannot wait to read this book. If you have read Iron Flame, you know we are all in the same boat. I'm just like nervous but excited. I think the whole plot for Onyx Storm is going to be insane. I just cannot wait for this. And Xaden and Violet, they're my like favourite couple I've ever read about in books. So I am absolutely dying to read this book. So number 1 has to be Onyx Storm. Anyway, the rest of these do not have an order to them really. So number 2 is Archer's Voice. I feel like this book is really well known and like is known for making people cry. I didn't look at it because I'm not gonna lie, the cover of it just looks a bit boring. It's just blue with I think just this flower like wisping away. For some reason that just doesn't entice me. I like illustrated covers, like the icebreaker type of cover. That's what kind of brings me in. And with fantasy, Fourth Wing and Akatar and Reckless Powerless, they all kind of draw me in. I am the type to judge a book by its cover, literally in books. I don't know, I never feel like drawn to it, but I think Archer's Voice, I just want to get it done. I want to read it. I want to know why everyone found it so heart-wrenching and so heartbreaking. So I'm really excited to read that. Next is Lessons in Chemistry. I actually have the physical book. So I bought this ages ago now and I've not read it yet. I am really excited to read it. It's weird, like because it's not a romance or fantasy, I'm not like immediately drawn to it. My 2 top things I read are romance and fantasy. I just love it so much. I can just like fall into a book that's romance or fantasy, and this is not that. I don't actually know what kind of genre this is. It's like set in 1960s, so is it like historical, I guess, maybe? But either way, I know that I'm going to love this because everyone who has read this book has loved it, so I'm pretty sure I will like it. I don't know, it's just not romance or fantasy, so it's not something I felt drawn to. But in 2025, I definitely want to read this book. Number 4 is Better Than the Movies. I love the look of this book. Again, a lot of people that I've watched and follow have loved this book. I think it's romance, which I love. I have a feeling it's gonna be sweet, and it's a whole series. There are so many books in this series, and I do love a series. I love going from one book to the next, to following like the characters, and you know, you'll have little cameos in all the books, and I love books like that. So Better Than the Movies is definitely one I want to tick off this year. Next is Daydream. I have the physical copy. I've actually soft DNF'd this. I'm on page 98. I was really enjoying this book, but I was reading this, then got my Kindle and have been reading on my Kindle literally like it's the only thing that I know. Like I have read 4 books in the space of a week on my Kindle, and Daydream is not on KU, and I'm trying to stop buying books. I'm on a bit of a book ban because I have so many physical books that I need to read and so many on KU that I need to read. KU is Kindle Unlimited, by the way. I found out that's what people use it, like say it, and now I feel cool when I say it. Daydream is definitely one I want to tick off because I bought this right after it was released I think it was released in August, and I felt so cool that I had this so early. and then just didn't read it. When was this published? I'm pretty sure it was August 2024. But yeah, I love Icebreaker. I didn't love Wildfire so much, but I loved Icebreaker, and I'm sure I'll love this. I've been reading the Crowns of Nyaxia series. I am on the third book technically. I read the first one, The Serpent and the Wings of Night. I can't quite remember the names. Then I read Six Scorched Roses, which is a novella. Now I'm reading The Ashes and the Star-Cursed King. So I'm reading that currently, loving it. The Crowns of Nyaxia series is incredible. So I'm reading that, and they're all in this, like, they're all the ones I want to tick off in 2025 too. So I'm not including that in here, I don't think. So after I've read them, or when I get like kind of fantasied out, I will probably skip back to this. The next one I want to read is The Deal by Ellie Kennedy or Elle Kennedy. This is a college romance. I just love a college romance. I also think it's an hockey romance. Yeah, cocky captain of the hockey team. So basically it's a romance in which the hockey captain and Hannah, the main female character, make a deal in which I think she does something for him and then he takes her on a pretend date because she's not used to dating and new to dating, etc. So I think that's how it starts, and then obviously it progresses. I love a hockey romance so much. I love an ice hockey romance so much. So The Deal by Elle Kennedy sounds right up my street. Next, I want to read The Wingman by Stephanie Archer. I have read the first two books in the Vancouver Storm series. I've read Behind the Net and The Fake Out. I loved those books so much, and The Wingman is the third one. Basically, I think Hayden, the main male character, helps the main female character Wingman. So he wingmans her, and then I presume it's probably actually she falls for him rather than whoever he's trying to set her up with. Again, ice hockey romance. I love it. I love the first two books in this series. I'm sure I'm going to love the third. So that's another one I'm very excited to read this year. Next is maybe an interesting choice, and it's The Pucking Wrong Guy. It's in the Pucking Wrong series. I read the first book a couple weeks ago and it was an interesting experience. I don't know if I liked it. It's an interesting time. Like, I can't tell if I hated it or loved it. Like, half the time I was a bit like uncomfortable in the sense of being like, what on earth is this man doing? But then the other half I was like, why am I kind of like desperate to know what happens next? So I have put the second book, The Pucking Wrong Guy, on my TBR and the in part of this video. I'm intrigued. It's a new genre. Like, it just keeps me so entertained because I'm actually just so intrigued to see how far it goes. That's what made me so invested in the first book. I was just so shocked the entire time that I was like, I have to know how this ends. So yeah, it was an interesting time, but I kind of loved it. Next is Holding the Reins by Paisley Hope. This is a cowboy romance. Love a cowboy romance so much. I'm currently still reading the Heartless series by Elsie Silver. I've read the first 2 or 3 books. I'm on Powerless. I think that's the third. Loved the first 2. Loved the second one more. I think Heartless is what it's called, and I think that is definitely my favourite so far, but obviously I've only read 2. And I definitely want to complete all those books this year, but I also want to read Holding the Reins. This has amazing reviews. This follows Cece Ashby and Nash Carter, and Cece is looking for a fresh start after escaping the toxic relationship that consumed her adult life. Nash Carter is recently retired hockey superstar of the Dallas Stars. He may look good in a cowboy hat, but he is also Cece's brother's best friend. Wait, I'm a bit confused. I think this is hockey / cowboy. Either way, I've heard very, very good things about this book and I'm very excited. I'm pretty sure this is a series as well, and we all know I love a series. Next is The Boyfriend Candidate. So this is the second book in a series. This is written by Ashley Winstead, and I've heard mixed reviews about this book. So this follows a school librarian and a guy she meets at a hotel bar, and I think she basically asks him to be her fake boyfriend. It's like what's the trope? It's relationship convenience or something. Oh, sugar, I've just remembered the dogs. I'm so sorry if you can hear that. This is also apparently opposites attract vibe. He's very cocky, she's very... Oh my day. He's very cocky, she's very shy vibe, and I'm really intrigued, and I love that kind of trope. I love a cocky, confident man in a book. Next is Not in Love by Ali Hazelwood. I've not read Ali Hazelwood, I don't think, or if I have, it was a novella, which I didn't like because I didn't really like any of those novellas. Apparently Ali Hazelwood's books are all very science focused, and I do not know anything about science at all. So I think that's a little bit why I'm like not desperate to read this. I've had this book for ages and I haven't really read anything from her because it's a bit science focused, and that's not normally my vibe just because I don't really know science. That's also probably why I don't really feel that like gravitated towards the lessons in chemistry, because I just don't know anything about it, to be honest. But I am excited to read this, and I've heard really good things about Ali Hazelwood, so I'm intrigued to know about this book. The next one I want to read is Throne of the Fallen by Kerry Maniscalco. I don't really know. It's the Price of Sin series. I've heard really good things about this book. I kind of haven't really dabbled in too much fantasy. I have, but I've kept very safe. Like, I've only really read what everyone's told me to read, and I'm excited for 2025 because I've read quite a lot of fantasy now that I'm like ready to find my own books rather than being like, X told me it was good, so I'll read it. I don't know, I just get scared that fantasy is going to be ruined at some point. I don't know why. I just find fantasy is my favorite genre. So if I like don't like how a book's going, it just upsets me. I'm honestly just so pathetic. I hate when I hate a book because I just really struggle to actually read it. Like, I have to really push through to not DNF. Kind of leaving fantasy for a second to talk about They Both Die at the End by Adam Silvera. I read this, I want to say 4 years ago. I can't quite remember what happened. On September 5th, a little after midnight, Deathcast calls Matteo and Rufus to give them some bad news. They're going to die today. Matteo and Rufus are total strangers, but for different reasons. They're both looking to make a new friend on their end day. The good news, there's an app for that. It's called The Last Friend, and through it, Rufus and Matteo are about to meet up for one last great adventure to live a lifetime in a single day. I just remember this being the most heart-wrenching, incredible book. I honestly think I read this in maybe one day, and it's like 368 pages. It was just amazing, and it's not a romance. I'm pretty sure they do just stay friends. I don't think there's any romance to it, but it's so deep and I just love it so much. So this is definitely one I want to read this year. Back to fantasy, I've got Mistborn, Final Empire. This is in the Mistborn saga. There are, oh my gosh, there's a lot of books, 7, 8. This is basically like taking back the throne in a sense, or taking back the empire. So it looks like Mistborn had been kind of ruined and forgotten about, and I presume the main character in this book takes it back in a sense. I'm just so excited to read this year. I just can't wait. Next I want to read is Done and Dusted by Lila Sage. I'm pretty sure this is a cowboy romance. The blurb is, she's off limits, but he's never been good at following the rules. For the first time in her life, Clementine Emmy Ryder has no idea what she's doing. She's accomplished everything on her to-do list. She left her small hometown of Meadowlark, went to college and made a career for herself by doing her favourite thing, riding horses. But after an accident makes it impossible for her to get back in the saddle, she has no choice but to return to her hometown she always wanted to escape. Luke Brooks is Meadowlark's most notorious bad boy, bar owner and bachelor. He's also the unofficial 5th member of the Ryder family. Oh, as Emmy's older brother's best friend, Luke spent most of his childhood antagonising her. Okay, so it's like childhood enemies to then maybe lovers. I love a cowboy romance. This is just, you know, she's just another one on the list, which I'm excited to read. Next is First Time Caller by BK Borison. Yeah, it's coming out on the 11th of February. I'm so excited to read this. I've just watched Ellen Catherine read this because she got an early release of it and an early copy of it, and I'm so excited. I've not read BK Borison yet, but I've heard incredible things, and I think this is a great book to get into her. It's a new book. It's going to be exciting. We're all going to be reading it at the same time, so I think that's a very good book to kind of start my BK Borison journey with. So I'm very excited to read this. The main male character hosts a romance hotline which she calls into, and I presume instead of him finding her a new man, he finds him as her man. Then next, I feel like this is just a classic. I want to read the Throne of Glass series, of course. Obviously, Sarah J Maas wrote the best series I've ever read in my entire life, and Throne of Glass is her second series. I know that it's bigger, I know that it's heavier, I know that it's like, this is the little sister to it, but I'm ready to tackle the big sister. In a land without magic, where the king rules with an iron hand, an assassin is summoned to the castle. She comes not to kill the king, but to win her freedom. I just know that this is going to be an insane series. It's so well known, it's so well done, everyone loves it. I'm ready to join the party basically, so I want to read Throne of Glass and that whole series. I feel like there's way more books in 25. I want to read like so many series of things, but obviously my book goal is 80 this year, so this is setting me up for success. Next, I want to read Quicksilver by Callie Hart. This is another series. It's the Fae and Alchemy Alchemy, is that how you say it? Yeah, series. This is the first book. Apparently there's mixed reviews on this. Some people love it, some people hate it. The blurb on this is, do not touch the sword, do not turn the key, do not open the gate. In the land of the unforgiving desert, there isn't much a girl wouldn't do for a glass of water. 24-year-old Saris Fane is good at keeping secrets. No one knows about the strange powers she possesses, or the fact that she's been picking pockets and stealing from the Undying Queen's reservoirs for as long as she can remember. Okay, wow, this sounds like an absolute whirlwind, so I'm quite excited to read that, to be honest. Again, there are mixed reviews on this. It doesn't take much to please me with a fantasy, so I have high hopes for it. And then next, I literally mentioned this earlier, but I want to read Powerless and the rest of this series. Like I said, Heartless was my favourite, and I want to read all these books this year because I feel like I'm not quite part of the book community if I haven't read the Chestnut Springs series. I also want to read Wild Side, which isn't out yet, is it? So Wild Side comes out in March, and it's the third book in the Rose Hill series by Elsie Silver, and I love the Rose Hill series a little bit more than the Chestnut Springs series, sorry. I read Wild Eyes and Wild Love and Wild Eyes within like 24 hours, both books. I loved Wild Love so much. No, I love them both so much. It's kind of a single dad romance vibe. Elsie Silver does a lot of that, and I'm so here for it, and I just love it. Wild Love was such a wholesome, incredible book. Same with Wild Eyes. I just love them both, and I'm so excited for Wild Side. So in Wild Eyes and Wild Love, there is like a bowling group. All the dads in Rose Hill go bowling on a Thursday. The main male character of Wild Love, it goes to the bowling group. Weston, the main male character of Wild Eyes, goes to this bowling group, and then Reese, who is mentioned quite a lot in the second book in Wild Eyes, also goes, but we don't really find out what his deal is, and Wild Side follows Reese. So I'm so excited because I was left like confused at the end of Wild Side, so that makes total sense. So I'm very, very excited to read Wild Side and follow Reese's POV and story. Next, going back to fantasy, I really want to read Kingdom of the Wicked. I also realised I have the physical copy of Throne of the Fallen and I completely forgot. But yeah, I really want to read this. This follows two sisters, one murder, a quest for vengeance that will unleash hell itself. Amelia and her twin sister Victoria are are witches who live secretly among humans, avoiding notice and persecution, until one night Victoria misses dinner service at the family's renowned Sicilian restaurant. Oh, Amelia soon finds the body of her beloved twin, desolated beyond belief. Oh, and basically Amelia vows to seek vengeance, so we follow that. That's so sad. I also really want to read the Zodiac Academy books this year. There's a lot of them. I feel like, considering what I'm signing myself up for, I don't know if I'll get them all done, but I definitely want to read the first few, or at least the first one. I've heard incredible things. It's not like at the top of my list just because there's so many books. I find it quite intimidating. But in general, I definitely want to get into that maybe towards the end of this year. It seems like a wild ride. Next, I want to read Hello Stranger by Catherine Center. I don't know if I've read Catherine Center. Oh, I've just remembered. This book follows a woman with face blindness. She can still see, but every face looks different as it is now a jumbled puzzle of disconnected features. Have I read Catherine Center? I don't know if I have, but if not, I'm very excited to get to this book. It's a romance, kind of a sad one and very interesting way of doing romance. She struggles to hang on to her artistic dream, work through the major family issues, and take care of her beloved dog Peanut. She falls in love, not with one man, but two. Oh, the timing couldn't be worse. I did not know that. Go off. I also want to read Book Lovers by Emily Henry. I have not read that. I've only read Beach Read by Emily Henry, and obviously Emily Henry is loved by the book community, as she should be, and I feel like I'm missing out a bit because I haven't read that many of her books. And then lastly, like I said, this isn't in order, so this isn't like the biggest one or the least I want to read one or anything like that, but the last one I have is The Love of My Afterlife. Again, I've heard really good things about this. This follows Delphi. She's entered the afterlife wearing the sort of pajamas you don't want anyone to see, and finds herself face to face with the most handsome man she's ever encountered. So she's dead and she falls in love in her afterlife. Again, a really interesting way of doing romance. I want to kind of branch out from just the hockey romances and cowboy romances. I want to branch out in all areas. I don't want to just read fantasy and romance. Obviously in here basically all of the books are, but my aim for this year, considering my reading goal is 80 books, I want to just try some new things. I definitely don't think I'm ever going to be like a crime, thriller, horror reader, because I read right before bed and I am terrified of the dark. Those two things just don't mesh well. I like to go to bed thinking like, oh my god, what's gonna happen next? Not in a like scared way, in a oh my god, I'm so excited but I have to fall asleep because I have work in the morning type of way. So I don't know if I'm gonna, you know, branch out too crazy, but I definitely want to find some new type of books. I kind of want to get back into a little bit of self-help as well, but these are just 25 books which are comfortable, I guess, or like within my like comfort umbrella of what I want to read, and I'm really excited to read all these books. I really hope everyone had an amazing 2024 with reading and just in general. I hope everyone's feeling excited about 2025. Please let me know if you have 25 books you want to be reading this year, or like what's a book that you're just so excited to read. Mine has to be Onyx Storm. Like genuinely, I might have to book the day off work just to read that book. I cannot wait. Like I'm literally getting a fourth wing tattoo. That's how much I loved that book. Thanks so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed. Please subscribe. I post book/lifestyle content, like vloggy stuff, but also book content. Have a lovely month. Enjoy reading. I hope everyone gets some 5-star reads, and I will see you in my next video. Kisses and hugs. Bye.